Back in again with another episode of the Montague Report. Joining us again is analyst Nick Cataldi. And now we're just going to get into the Sixers playoff rotation. So starting off, we have the five starters, Simmons, Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Embiid, who I'll go with Embiid, Simmons, and Harris are all going to play about 40 minutes a game. I would go Curry will probably play 30 to 36. Danny Green, I would say about the same. So that leaves about 24.
Like 48 more minutes.
48 minutes. So to me, I look at there's about 2 to 3 guys off the bench that are going to get consistent minutes every night. And after that, I think it's pretty much cut off. I don't think there's going to be, maybe for the first round, you might play 9 some games. I don't think there's going to be too many times you play 9 after the first round. If you're playing Milwaukee or Brooklyn, you just don't have the chance to get 9 guys into the game. But so I think first off the bench, and I would say they need about a little under half of that 48 minutes to themselves. And we'll see if you agree with me, but I'm going to go with Matisse Thybulle. I think needs to be the first guy off the bench. I think when you look at the teams we have to beat to come out of the East and to win the title, specifically, or not specifically, but mainly Brooklyn. Yeah. I think he is the best defender in the league. If he had the minutes that everyone like Simmons had, I think we would be talking about Thybulle as not just like the best per minute defender, but the best actual defender. So I think if you have the best defender in the league, you have to play them against any team in the league. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the guy who I would have said, and I think it's not only his just his steals that he gets, his defensive presence. He holds the other team's best players to poor field goal percentage and poor shooting performances, and having him right there come off the bench as 6 man, it gives the Sixers an opportunity to either go on a run by him coming in there and disrupting the other team's offense. And if, like you said, if we want any chance against the Nets, we have Simmons and we have Embiid, but I'm not sure how effective Embiid is going to be as a defender against the Nets, considering he's mainly in the paint and they're a perimeter team with Harden, KD, Irving. Doesn't mean they won't be going to the paint, but they have the ability to shoot so well from outside that then it comes down to our defenders who can defend the perimeter and guys on the move, like guys who can create their own shot. And so I think Thybulle, he's underrated when it comes to best defenders in the league. And I think he would be defensive player of the year if he got more minutes.
Yeah, I honestly think Simmons is the defensive player of the year right now, and I don't think it would even be close if Thybulle had played the minutes of Simmons. I think Thybulle would blow him out of the water. When you look at his block and steal rates, I think he's got a 3.8 block rate and a 3.7 steal rate or something, which probably sounds completely meaningless to people watching it, but he's the first person in NBA history, like all of NBA history. There's nobody that has matched his steal and block rates. I think he's got the highest shot blocking rate of any guard in NBA history.
You want to explain what block and steal rate?
Okay, yeah. So block rate is it's how many. If I take 100 shots, how many times do you block it, basically? And then steal rate would be the same. I think it goes by per pass. I may be wrong on that, but it's a percentage of possessions that end in a steal. I'm not sure if it's per pass or per time on the court or something, or per possession. But it's based on that, and it's incredible that he's getting so many. Nobody steals 3.7% of passes, for example.
Right.
So, it's unheard of. The Sixers franchise record holder in steal rate is, I think, Maurice Cheeks, with 3.2 steal rate, and Thybulle's for his career, I think, is 3.7. So it's that doesn't sound like a big difference, but 3.2 compared to 3.7 is actually a massive difference compared to numbers that small.
Right.
So he's unheard of as a defender. Like he gets his hands on everything. You watch him play. I mean, he's not just jumping passing lanes. Like
Yeah.
guys are taking horrible shots when he's on them. Like I remember the Suns game from a couple of weeks ago. We didn't have Simmons or Harris, I think, and we lost anyway, despite a great game from Embiid and Thibault. Thibault had like 0 points, I think it was that game, but he had like 4 block shots and like 3 steals. He was just like he's blocking Devin Booker off the dribble on pull-up jump shots. It's just stuff you don't see in the NBA. You don't see guys like Devin Booker have their pull-up jumpers blocked consistently.
Right.
And like Thibault's getting like 1 block a quarter on him. It's unbelievable.
When it comes to his offensive game, I think that's something that'll develop. He definitely still looks nervous out there. Like he looks shaky. When it comes to the offensive end, it looks like he doesn't really know what to do, you know?
Yeah. Completely agree. His offense is terrible, but right now I've been saying Danny Green was our 4th best player for most of the season. I think right now it's Thibault. If I were the coach, I would bench Curry for Thibault, but I would bench either Green or Curry. Like Thibault would be a starter if I was the coach, but not that Doc Rivers isn't doing a great job. But so now next guy, and this one I think there's 4 guys actually, depending on the series that this could be, but this is a predictions video, so I got to predict one, and I'm going to go with George Hill will be the next guy off the bench. I think it's going to be George Hill because I think the difference between so the 4 guys I think could take are Shake, Korkmaz, Howard, and Hill. I think Howard only helps you against teams like the Nets or maybe the Lakers that have a lot of big men. So I don't think Howard's going to be an every series player. Due to his limitations, or not limitations, due to Simmons' limitations, and Howard can't play with Simmons as a result. But I think the difference between George Hill and Shake is the fact that George Hill's just a smarter player. He makes less mistakes. He's a better defender. He's a significantly less mistake-prone offensive player is the biggest thing, though. He's maybe not going to score as much as Shake would, but he's probably going to shoot a better percentage from 3. He's probably going to shoot a better percentage from the floor overall. He's probably going to get more assists and more rebounds, and it's just smart plays like that I think is going to keep George Hill in the rotation.
Yeah, I agree. I think that George is getting his footing underneath him right now, and I think him being a pro, like he's like a true pro that I feel like Doc's comfortable with putting in there over Milton, and that's why we acquired him. So
yeah, then for Korkmaz, it's a different type of player. I think Korkmaz maybe could play, but I think George Hill's skill set is probably more liked by Doc Rivers, even if I think maybe the sharpshooting of Korkmaz is maybe a better fit. Defensively, I think there's a big difference there. I think Korkmaz is slightly below average to average defender. And George Hill I would describe as slightly above average. So I think for us to win the title, we're going to have to be the best defending team in the league. And I think Doc Rivers is probably going to only want to play one subpar defender in Curry. So I think that's probably going to be the difference between George Hill or Korkmaz as well. And that ties into Milton a little bit too, because I don't think Milton's a better defender than Korkmaz, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think sorry, for some reason my voice, I'm losing a little here. I don't think like Korkmaz, Milton. I don't really see Korkmaz really playing much in the playoffs. I think it's a coach's preference. I think that if we're struggling, like if Hill's not doing good, if Milton's not doing good, or if we need like a guy where like we kind of get kind of desperate, he's a guy that it would make sense to throw in and give him a shot, see if he can get some buckets.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Korkmaz will be in the rotation to start the playoffs. But I do think, like you said, if after Thibault, I think the next 2 spots, the 7th and 8th guy off the bench could be anybody. So if George Hill wasn't playing well, I definitely wouldn't hesitate to yank him and put in either Korkmaz or Milton. I guess now we'll go for the A spot. Now the A spot, I really think it's going to depend on series and playing well. I think if you play the Lakers or the Bucks, I think it's Howard. I think against the Nets or the Clippers, it's probably Shake. I wouldn't go Shake. I think Doc Rivers likes him more than he likes Korkmaz. I like Korkmaz's skill set a lot with the starters. Like I think in terms of moving off the ball, Korkmaz just gives you a skill set that Milton doesn't have with the ability to run off screens and do dribble handoffs and hit threes. So I think Korkmaz is probably gonna get put back into the rotation in a certain game where you're just struggling to make shots. But I don't think he'll get consistent minutes. I think the eighth guy is going to be Milton, I think, most of the time.
So I did a cough there for a second. I personally, I would not play Cork over Shake. I'm kind of on Doc's side with this one. I think that Shake has the ability to, he's more athletic than Cork, I would say. And so when it comes to, all right, we're scrambling for a shot, like not saying that Cork's necessarily been bad, but I just think that Milton has the ability to create a shot. Not necessarily like, it's not like his specialty, I would say, but like he's more of a shot creator than Cork, who I feel like
it's definitely a skill that he has.
It's not like a top of the league specialty, but when we're coming to like this deep on our bench, I think it's something that we'll need to have. So I think
my thoughts with that is just I don't see there ever really being a time where we really want to take the ball out of Embiid or Harris's hands offensively. So to me, it's kind of like I don't think Shake Milton maximizes Embiid and Harris. And I think for us to be the best offensive team we can be, I think we do want to maximize those two guys because they're our best scorers. I don't think Milton's a good fit in the starting. Like when you look at there's three guys who are going to close every game, and then after that, it's in my opinion who's playing well. So you have Simmons, Embiid, and Harris. And then I don't think when you put Shake in that fourth or fifth spot, I don't see how he maximizes our skill sets, which in units where they're not on the floor, all three of them, then I think it definitely helps maybe more than a Korkmaz skill set would be. But I think in the playoffs, there's only going to be like, if you do match Embiid and Simmons minutes, then at most there's like 8 to 10 minutes where those two aren't in the game. So I think maybe you want to go with Shake for that, but other than that, I don't think, and maybe that's where a lot of his minutes will come, considering it's playoffs and he'd be the eighth guy. But I don't see how that maximizes us as much as a quarter. But it's really coming down to like slim pickings because neither of them are going to play a whole ton regardless.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
The starters are going to play the vast majority of the minutes. The starters and Thibault, that is. So I think after Thibault, it's really like, I think George Hill's definitely got the next spot right now. But after that, I think it's really gonna be inconsistent. And even George Hill, I mean, I could see a playoffs if George Hill hasn't played perfect since he's came here. So I could also see a playoffs in which Shake maybe takes the 7th spot and gets the George Hill minutes, and then maybe Hill is the 8th spot. Maybe it's Howard or Korkmaz, and maybe Hill doesn't play. So I could see you going either way, but I guess we'll end this video being in unison on the 7th and 8th being, or 6th and 7th being Thibault and Hill. And then I think there's a little division among Sixers fans. And I think also the organization, because I think the organization doesn't know what they're going to do either. Because I think we have a really deep bench. Like when you look at like Howard getting benched, like there's not a lot of teams Howard wouldn't play playoff minutes for.
Right. It's definitely, it depends on the team, because like you said with the Lakers, they have Drummond. So all right, when Embiid's out, if Drummond's in there, we need a defender like with AD too. They're gonna have two bigs that we constantly need a presence in the paint. When we're facing the Bucks, I mean, we have Simmons who we can put on Giannis or like whatever. But if Giannis gets past Simmons, nobody's in the paint, dunk, layup. So it depends on the lineup. But it's also like we don't want to just play Dwight because he doesn't bring that much at this point in his career to the offensive end, besides like alley-oops and dunks. But he does get
lots of missed free throws.
Yeah, exactly. Kills us.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see. I think we've got a good shot to win it all. It's going to be very interesting to see how that Brooklyn chemistry plays a part in the playoffs and whether or not we're able to get past a healthy, as of now, Brooklyn team. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Special shout out to Nick Cataldi on his second Montague Report video, first day in the office.
Thank you.
How was it? You can end the video with telling everybody what you thought of it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool experience. I mean, get to work with this fella, so it was some good times.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and see you guys.